The fugitive bill is dead. That was the declaration Tuesday from Hong Kong's chief executive, Carrie Lam.
There are still lingering doubts about the government's sincerity or worries whether the government will restart the process in the Legislative Council. So I reiterate here, there is no such plan. The bill is dead.
Speaking before heading into Tuesday's meeting of the Executive Council, which is just right behind me, Carrie Lam said the government's work on the bill had simply not been good enough and that her team did not have a good grasp of public's views on it. She said she was saddened by the political crisis the bill saga has caused.
Please give us an opportunity, the time, the room, for us to take Hong Kong out of the current impasse and try to improve the current situation.
Asked by reporters whether she would resign as the chief executive over the affair, she replied that she would not and intends to continue to serve the people. She said she's ready to hold an open dialogue with the Students' Union over the fugitive bill controversy.
The Daxing International Airport represents the pinnacle of the civil aviation industry in China. With the code PKX, construction concluded at the end of June.
The new airport is now in the phase of adjusting equipment. We will work hard to make sure the new airport can open on time by September 30th.
The new airport is designed to accommodate 720 million passengers by 2025, reducing pressure on the already overstressed Beijing Capital International Airport. Overseas airlines will be allowed to operate from both places, but authorities say they will grant foreign carriers bonus time slots at PKX to encourage them to move. PKX aims to become the new international hub for Beijing.
Chinese airlines, mainly China Eastern and China Southern, will be transferred gradually to the new airport. Daxing International has already got clearance for flights to the UK, Russia and Egypt. We have also just finished evaluating the route to Japan. We are also expanding the traffic rights to Finland.
Air travel has grown rapidly in China. Over 320 million trips have been made so far this year, an 8.5% growth compared to the same period last year. International trips saw a 16.5% spike year-on-year in the first 6 months of 2019, exceeding 36 million. But passengers complain about flight punctuality. Authorities say 80% of this year's flights have landed on time.
Weather caused most of the delayed or cancelled flights in the first half of the year. 45% of flights were affected by weather.
Summer is peak season for air travel as many Chinese take holiday and vacation time. Yu says the industry faces challenges.
Heavy rains are expected in some regions of China, which might affect travel. The suspension of the Boeing 737 MAX 8 will also cause a shortage of seats.
Cargo travel saw a drop in the first half of the year. Domestic air cargo shipments fell by 1.3% and international shipments fell by 1.4%.
It was a handover that signaled a return to mainstream politics. The new Greek Prime Minister, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, with the country's bailout years behind, pledged to bring the change that Greeks want.
The Greek people gave us a strong mandate to change Greece. We will honor this mandate to the full. From today, hard work begins. I have complete trust in our capabilities and to rise to the occasion.
The election result gave New Democracy an outright majority. With 158 seats in the 300-member parliament, the new government will have the freedom to push through reforms it wants. Greece is still struggling to emerge from an economic crisis that 5 years ago led to a record-high 28% unemployment, while the economy shrunk by more than a quarter. Kyriakos Mitsotakis campaigned on the promise of better days for Greeks. His focus has been on fewer taxes, attracting investment, more and better jobs, and more growth. Greeks punished leftist Alexis Tsipras for failing to keep his promise to end austerity. Yet, the return to the party that has been part of Greece's political establishment for decades brings mixed emotions among voters.
I am more optimistic with this new government. They will do a better job. They are more credible and more correct.
There will be a change for who? For us, the poor? Of course not. The change will be for the others, the rich. Us, he will step on us.
While Greece has successfully exited from its bailout programs, it remains under strict supervision by international lenders. One of the biggest challenges for the new government will be to stick to those agreements and still meet voter expectations for greater prosperity.
It's relatively easy to say lower taxes, more growth. The question is how one can achieve lowering those taxes without disrupting the fiscal balance that cost so much to the Greek people to achieve.
Some analysts say that while the economy has stabilized, the damage done in Greece is so great that the road towards any robust economic growth will be long and bumpy, no matter who governs.
You need to see something better, brighter ahead. And you have to work with what is ahead. And now, New Democracy, the Conservatives, and Kyriakos Mitsotakis are the people of the moment. Mitsotakis is the man of the moment. So it's only natural that many people invest even exaggerated hopes in him. So one of his main jobs is not to stifle those hopes, but to moderate them.
Mitsotakis is a conservative liberal aiming to boost growth through private investment and privatizations. He believes in a smaller state, policies that many Greeks have rejected before. Mitsotakis says voters have given him strong mandate. As many analysts say, that doesn't mean governing will be easy.
At universities across the United States, tens of thousands of Chinese students come to study engineering and technology, with hopes of someday finding a job here.
Yes, I want to work here. It's less pressure than China, and also the salary is very high, but I don't know if I can.
When we look at the number of students who are able to find those positions working in companies, who are able to receive the work permits they need, we're seeing a decrease in that. We're also seeing an increase in the number of rejections.
One of the hardest hit sectors is semiconductors. According to the Silicon Valley Leadership Group, China imports nearly $300 billion worth of computer chips from U.S. companies annually. Under U.S. rules, foreign nationals, including Chinese, must get special licenses in order to work on sensitive technologies like semiconductors. From 2013 to 2017, Chinese nationals accounted for more than 60% of the approved licenses. But Laurel Munoz says, while it used to take a couple of weeks to get approved, it's now averaging about 6 to 8 months.
It's making it more difficult for companies to get the work they need right away. It's also making the United States and Silicon Valley in particular less attractive as a destination for some of the smartest, most skilled workers from around the world.
The engineer has gotten a visa, they're working for a company, but then the company tries to assign them to a particular project and they can't get onto it because the license is being held up.
Gwen Epps says while companies lose out on skilled workers, the region could also lose out on job creation from potential Chinese founders.
Some of them end up starting companies and have had a big impact on Silicon Valley. Weili Dai, who was born in Shanghai, is one of the co-founders of Marvell, which is a large chip company now with over 5,000 employees. Ken Shi, who has founded several companies, including Fortinet, which is one of the largest cybersecurity companies in Silicon Valley, 5,000 employees.
Laurel Munoz says the Trump administration also views access to sensitive technologies as a threat.
They view the situation as, if we don't assert technological dominance now, we risk falling behind China, and the fear on the part of the administration is that that threat also is not only a technology threat, but possibly also a national security threat when we look at issues around artificial intelligence and cybersecurity.
Laurel Munoz's Silicon Valley Leadership Group has more than 350 members, including top chip makers such as Intel and Samsung Semiconductor. He says while members understand the security concerns, they also want the Trump administration to realize the risks and costs of losing out on long-term innovation.